I think it's what is that?
Good evening, Sangha. Happy to see your faces. Missed you last Tuesday, but I know you were in good hands. As always, we'll wait until we get a few more before we say hello to each other. I'm going to turn off my video for one moment. Be right with you. In the meantime, you might want to look at the perfect expressions of life that in the form of the faces that are on your screen, not just spotlighting one person, but getting the whole community. A lot of life had to happen for each of us to be here. Okay, one more, and we're about to say hello.
Okay.
Margaret, since you unmuted, you're welcome to be the first one to say hello.
Hello.
Where are you calling in from, Margaret?
Well, I live in Tucson, but I'm in Flagstaff at the moment, Arizona.
Anyway, glad you're with us. And I'm going to mute you if it's okay.
That's fine.
And welcome all of you to say where you're calling in from, say your name. And,
Jim from Southwest Washington Coast.
hey, Jim, welcome.
Katie from San Francisco.
Hi, Katie. Always happy you're here.
John from Victoria, BC.
Hi, John. Where are you, John? I'm looking for you. Ah, there you are. Welcome.
Agnes from Edmonton, Alberta.
Welcome, Agnes. Glad you're with us.
Thank you.
Linda in Michigan.
Hey, Linda and Ypsilanti.
Valenti, yes.
How terrific.
Laura in Maryland.
Hi, Laura.
Hello.
Paula from the Napa Valley.
Welcome, Paula.
Cecilia from Scottsdale.
Hey, Cecilia. Good to hear your voice.
Mary in Richmond.
Hey, Mary. How's Poppy?
She's doing fine. Still bumping into things, but she's doing fine.
Good to hear.
Angela, San Francisco.
Amy.
Hello, Angela. Glad you're here. I met someone else was speaking.
Jeff,
Oh, Lanny and Barbara.
Amy.
Hi, Lanny and Barbara, and hi, Jeffrey. I got you both.
So we are in Flagstaff, but live in Tucson.
Hope you enjoy Flagstaff. Can't go wrong in Arizona.
No, I'm in the mission.
Hello, Noemi.
Hi.
Glad to see you.
Isabel and Pacifica.
Welcome, Isabel.
Sujong from San Francisco.
Hello, Sujong.
Mary in Santa Barbara.
Hello, Mary. Covering California and Arizona.
Keith from Berkeley.
Hey, Keith. Who is the host tonight? Oh, Howie G.
Your friend and neighbor,
There
Howie
you
G.
go.
And
Thank you.
Jeff is shadowing me. So we
Jeff
are.
is shadowing you. Wonderful.
Yes, yes.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay. So glad to hear your voices. Glad you're here. So far we're small but mighty. We have enough to support each other and sustain us a little bit in our practice. So really take in the fact that you are immersed, even though we're online, you're immersed in a community of support, this intention to awaken to the life of the unfolding present, to come out of the tangle of confusion, of greed and hatred and ignorance, of things that bind our mind to the imagined past and future, and to come to the place of relief and healing only arrived at in the present moment. So we don't want to miss our only opportunity. Of course, that opportunity is there in every moment, but we don't want to miss any opportunity to rest our weary minds and bodies, rest our hearts in this natural peace that is really our nature when we're not looking elsewhere. So we use this time to come home to ourselves. Remember the way Derek Walcott put it, to the stranger who has loved us all our life, whom we've ignored for another, who knows us by heart. That is the Buddha that lives in you, that which what Ajahn Chah called Buddho, the one who knows. Has followed you nearer than the breath, through all your ups and downs. So we return to that Buddha nature, Buddho, the knowing. So we close our eyes, aware of that simple fact that there is knowing, there is awareness. Aware of the context of community and support, the opportunity for seclusion in the midst of others, alone together. So with our eyes closed softly, we begin that journey of seclusion, feeling almost immediately, almost without trying, the felt experience of our seated posture or sitting body. Known directly as a field of sensations, elemental experience of pressure and heaviness, hardness, vibration, pulsing, wind, temperature. We feel this sense of embodiment just the way it is, without trying to alter it in any way. In other words, we give our body the gift of letting go, of letting it be, not asking it to strain or struggle, but asking it to just plop. Asking our body just to let go of the imagined future and the imagined past. And just experience itself. With our knowing, we notice the body's experience of its own breathing. This very selfless process of the body breathing according to its needs. Sometimes short breaths, sometimes long, sometimes coarse, sometimes fine, sometimes deep, sometimes shallow. And simply notice the touch, sensation, the touch of the breath, wherever we feel it most clearly. And we notice how much our body responds to our kind and interested and relaxed attention. So interested in the intimate feeling of the sitting body, the intimate feeling of the breath, through the duration of the in-breath as it occurs, the duration of the out-breath. And the body responds so naturally by calming, stilling, not because we try to be calm or still, but because that's what happens when our body feels acknowledged, felt, seen. It lets go. Just a little. We just keep showing up for this miraculous experience of sitting and breathing. And that healing power of attention. Our attention also, because it's so impartial, it welcomes sounds without judgment. It welcomes moods without judgment, without direction. It welcomes thoughts and images. Anything that can be known in awareness is welcome. But the only intention is not to intentionally extend anything or make anything happen or get rid of anything, but simply to notice. And through noticing, realizing the Dharma. And letting each experience bathe in that kind and interested and relaxed attention. Just this moment, just this breath, or whatever becomes predominant in our experience. If it's pleasant, to feel the pleasantness. If it's unpleasant, to feel the unpleasantness. If it's neutral, feel the neutrality. Making no effort to set up one thing against another. Attention is completely unbiased. Non-interfering. And this is why it's so freeing. Just this breath, just this moment, or whatever comes. When you realize you've been daydreaming, lost in thought, this is a moment of mindfulness, waking you up to where you are and what's happening. So appreciate that and very gently reconnect with the anchor in real time of the body and breath. Making nothing more of it. Just this moment, just this body, just this breath, or whatever is being noticed. is there knowing or noticing right now? What are you aware of, or what is being known? And notice if there's any other attitudes in the mind that is noticing. You noticing with a desire to make something happen? That's just greed in the mind, straining. Is there any resistance in the mind? This is just aversion. Is there any personalizing in the mind? Are you adding the story of me to what's happening? Just notice what is being noticed, and notice the quality of the mind that's noticing. Is it open and receptive? Or is it colored by one of these attitudes or states of mind? Just this moment, just experiences of mind and body being known. The way goes nowhere but here. Remember that the starting point of our practice is here. The practice is staying here, and the end of our practice is here. When you realize you're not going anywhere, relax. Enjoy the view. Noticing breath, body, sounds, moods, thoughts, all here in this unfolding now. Thank you for your practice as always. Appreciate being able to sit with you. Lost track of time. I think I was a minute late tonight on the gong. My friend always says to me, he says, the only problem with the timeless, you never know what time it is. So, but we do have to function in these transcendental reality and conventional reality. And if you don't have both, we don't don't do so well. So while it's fresh, love to hear from you. Any questions came up from your practice? Any topics emerged from your practice? Any descriptions or comments? And as I mentioned, most weeks, whatever your comment, question, description, topic, whatever you speak about will likely be of some benefit to someone else. So feel free. And make you all a little bit bigger.
Hi, Howie. It's Isabel. I have a quick question.
Sure.
Appreciate what you said about the aversion in the mind and the greed, trying to make things happen. It's really nice to take a break from that. Hi, Howie. It's Isabel. I have a quick question. Hold on. Appreciate what you said about the aversion. But the question I have was with the not with the aversion, but with the no, not with the greed, but with the aversion. Like how that can kind of, is that kind of like maybe I'll have a thought that just is painful emotionally or kind of spins me out. What I've been trying to do is just kind of do a breathing when I do when that starts to happen, just kind of breathing in for 5, breathing out for 10,
So
just to kind of
yes,
relax me, because it's just that
right.
the
So that
pull
may
of
so
the
that may be a skillful response to feeling aversion, but aversion just means you don't like what you're experiencing. It
mhm.
means you're either afraid of it, don't like it, you're angry at it, you're irritated with it, you're frustrated with it, all different flavors of aversion. They come into our mind as mental states and they filter our experience. So it could have been a thought, and then depending on how you reacted to that thought, it seemed like you said that certain thoughts or memories came and you had a very strong reaction. And that's
Yeah, I feel kind of like I want to know what to do with it.
yeah.
Just like gently notice
So
it and maybe come back to an anchor.
so so what I was suggesting tonight is notice it. Also notice the reaction that is occurring to it.
Mhm.
And in a way, there's really nothing to do about it. It's not a project to fix. It's just something to experience. And so you include every element of it. You include the thought, you include the reaction to it, you include the fact that it's being noticed, and then you even include, what do I do with this? The wondering, the confusion. Each of those things is the practice.
Yeah,
So
I feel like when I do have to do the noting, I feel like bothered. Bothered. I'm feeling
well,
bothered by the noticing.
that's aversion. That's aversion.
Oh,
And so you
aversion to
just want to
noting.
notice aversion. You don't have
Okay.
to name it. You just feel, oh, this is what it's like to not
Okay.
want to do something. Resistance,
Okay.
aversion.
I got a lot to
So,
learn. Thank you.
so, so all this going back to the breaths, those are kind of making the 5 breaths. That's last resort when you're unable to accommodate the presently arising experience. And our training, though, is to learn to increasingly treat each experience equally. No hierarchy of experience, no experience to get back to or toward, but just
Okay.
what is the presently arising experience. So if it's feeling flooded, we just feel flooded until we can't deal with it anymore. Then you go back to the breath.
Okay. Thank you so much. I was
Yeah.
feeling a little trapped in my own head.
Because it's not meant to be a torture test. If you're really overwhelmed, then it's really wise and loving to go to safer ground.
Okay, thank you.
Mary, you had your hand up. Please feel free.
Yeah, hi, Howie. I mainly just want to thank you so much. And
Pleasure.
everyone, difficult time in the world. There's a lot to feel aversion. And I feel like I personally, and I have a feeling I'm not alone, need this more than usual in my
No, this
existence.
is why we practice for times like this. And every generation will speak of life as being really difficult right now. I mean, there's been no time in history where people who were paying attention didn't say that and didn't feel it. And that's why this is such a timeless offering, because it's, the same issues were happening at the time of the Buddha. The world driven by greed and hatred and confusion and ego and views and so there, in a way, there's nothing new under the sun, but we need it equally right now. So I'm glad you're appreciating the need and the medicine that just coming back to our senses provides.
It does
glad-
feel like medicine. Thank you. I mean, in a good way. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm very happy I see a Regina contingent tonight, a bigger Regina contingent. Very happy to see all of you. Deb and Janet and Maureen and Jill and maybe some others. I don't see your faces. I'm a little homesick for Regina, have to tell you. What's the ice cream parlor that's...
It was falling from the sky just yesterday.
Oh my gosh, unbelievable.
Nice to be here, Howie.
The Milky Way, that's what it's called, the ice cream parlor. Love Milky Way. It's a melting pot. It's in the middle of the prairies. There's this incredible ice cream parlor that is, when you see it at night, it's the most multicultural place as the middle of New York City or San Francisco. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And they have good ice cream too. So any other comments, questions, topics that emerge from tonight's practice?
Hi, Howie. This is Barbara.
Hi, Barbara. Let me just go to speak. There you are, Barbara. Glad to see your face.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Lanny and I, my husband, and I have been super busy lately with good stuff, but we haven't been meditating much. And what I notice is that I have far less peace during the meditation. My brain is just all over the place. And it's focusing on good stuff, but it's not meditating. So I guess that's just a comment.
An observation. So does the direct knowledge of what the state of your mind, what your mind is like, does it give rise to any kind of intention, or you just taking note of it?
Yeah, I take note of it and then try to come back to noticing.
So
instead
the reason I ask you that is when I really see, I call it my own life, and I do this very tongue in cheek, but I say, when I see that I'm mentally ill, when I see that I'm dysregulated, when I see that I'm like a shrieking madhouse, and and my mind intuits that there's some relationship to the state of my mind at this time and how present I've been in my life, or what the way I've been living, it becomes the cause of me intending to kind of get back to basics, to get back to my cushion if it's the cushion. But I generally recommend that not necessarily to burden your meditation practice, burden the sitting practice with the demand that it has to cover all your meditative needs, but to start spreading out that meditative presence all through the day, whatever you're doing, wherever you are, whether you're up in Flagstaff or down in Tucson, that from the moment you wake up in the morning to the time you go to bed is equal opportunity to put your mind in your body, to notice what you're doing when you're doing it, even when you're with family, friends, whatever it is, that you keep it going. And then there's a little bit less likelihood that when you come to the formal practice that you'll be as jangled, although we are sometimes, and that's just the way it is. And it's all workable. We don't turn it into a problem. We just notice, oh, this mind is pretty wild tonight.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I'm
Thank
happy
you.
I'm happy that you didn't lose the practice so much that you decide not to come to practice tonight. So,
Right.
glad you're here.
Yes. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Margaret, you have to unmute. You have to unmute yourself. And you'll have the last word, Margaret.
Oh,
There you
well,
are.
I don't know if this is a good enough last word.
Oh, of course it is.
Uh, I went to the Grand Canyon today.
Marvelous.
There was such beauty there. There weren't very many people. We went really early.
Mm.
I couldn't believe that I could look out on that view and get such an emotional reaction and see such beauty. And then I walked along the rim trail, and it was all really beautiful. We went really slowly because I'm old and slow, and it was so beautiful. And other things have occurred to me. There was this oak tree that was there. The oak leaves were still young and very green and not dirty or anything. And it just lit up in front of me. And at home also, I've been noticing the trees and the light going through the trees. And I just wanted to say that even though I feel like I'm not supposed to expect things from this practice, well, maybe, I don't know if I am or, well, yeah, I am, but I am just so grateful for it opening up my senses. And I would do it just for that, even if, enlightenment were not even possible, which I don't know if it is for me, but I just am very grateful.
Beautiful. Well, we all got a transmission of your open heart, your open senses, your gratitude and appreciation. So thank you. And that is something to be expected from the practice, is that your mind will be open enough to really take in beauty. But we also say our mind or heart opens enough to take in pain too, and be able to sit with it, the 10,000 joys and the 10,000 sorrows. And I'm so happy that you're on the 10,000 joys today. And that is a byproduct of being open and aware, is you don't miss things. And the dividing line between you and that beauty just melts away. There's just a fading away of me and mine. In a way, that's what Buddha's experience. Just the connection with everything, the deep interbeing with that beautiful view. So, thanks for bringing it here. Okay. I think I mentioned the Buddha, the historical Buddha, because I was noodling today, contemplating today, something that is said quite often by meditators and teachers. The expression is that everyone has Buddha nature. And we're all awakening to our Buddha nature. And sometimes we don't really examine what this means. And the way I was thinking about it today, Buddha nature, like Margaret was expressing Buddha nature. Buddha nature is intrinsic to all of us, and that Buddha just means awake. What are the characteristics of being awake? And the Tibetan tradition has a wonderful way of describing Buddha nature. They say that the essence of the Buddha or Buddha nature is referencelessness, an emptiness, openness. And often that when that openness is there, there is a quality of balance and equanimity. There's just a real openness, immovability. That's considered literally the essence of mind is empty and open, balanced. You. So we all have Buddha nature. We all have this intrinsic quality to it. Now, another way that it's talked about, before I elaborate any more about Buddha nature, is that when that line is offered, everyone has Buddha nature, it's often translated as everyone has the capacity to awaken. Everybody has the capacity to become a Buddha, to become awake. And that acknowledges that we are as individuals living conventional lives, that our way of viewing reality is often not, it does not come from the perspective of an awakened Buddha. So we're, as one of my friends, Lama Surya Das put it, we're all Buddhas, but most of us are sleeping Buddhas. There are some awakened Buddhas, but we're sleeping. And we have this capacity to become awakened Buddhas, awakened to our nature. But when we awaken to our nature, the description in some of the teachings is the essence of mind is just open, empty, heart, mind, open, empty. And the nature of that mind, the essence is empty, but the nature is knowing or clarity, cognizance. There's knowing. That's what makes our mind so different than just an empty sky. You know, that our mind is intrinsically sky-like. It doesn't have any limits. It doesn't have any height. It doesn't have any depth. It doesn't have any color. It doesn't have a shape. It doesn't have an inside, and it doesn't have an outside. Mind is everywhere and nowhere. So it's empty, but its nature, which makes it so juicy, is that it knows, it's conscious. And that knowing of that comes with heart mind is often connected to the goodwill, the wish for everything and everyone to be happy, kind of flows from that. And you may even hear from this quality of knowing, it's a reminder that when we practice mindfulness, which is really just a clearly comprehending that we're knowing, and then clearly comprehending that we know what we're knowing, that we actually know what we're knowing, that when one practices mindful attention, the fruit of that, the expression of that, what flows naturally from that is goodwill. You've probably heard the expression before, attention brings affection. So it's often this knowing is connected to affection. It's not this kind of cool, calculated knowing. It's knowing that's open. Yet we also have the capacity to know something in great detail. And then we can experience a kind of love, a kind of goodwill or caring for whatever we're noticing. As one teacher put it, you love what you see. It's kind of the love of truth. When we're really in that flow of noticing, we kind of love the fact that we're noticing, and we love what we notice. And then the other way that the Buddha nature is talked about, that is intrinsic to all of us, is that empty knowing is completely unconfined, and it's described as unconfined capacity. And it's that capacity is often associated with compassion, the way that our heart just spontaneously responds with compassion to pain. As I was saying to Margaret, when we experience the joy of the joys and our heart opens in gratitude and delight, when it experience, that's part of the unconfined capacity of Buddha nature. But when it meets pain, it flows as compassion and caring. And then in some cases, action that expresses that. So that's intrinsic to all of us. But Buddhas are kind of in tune with that, awakened Buddhas. And the reason that we're not connected to that, why we don't feel as connected to that on an ongoing basis, to these boundless qualities of the heart, this great openness, the freedom of mind, this unconfined capacity, is basically for four different reasons. You know, what I was thinking about today, the first one is that our mind is conditioned to be spinning in a view of ourselves as this reference point called I. Everything is wrapped around an I. That I like, I don't like, I want, I don't want, I agree, I disagree. So our life becomes revolved around an idea, literally an idea called I, that there is some entity, some static self that lives in us that is the reference point for our experience, called I. And when we practice, at first it seems like I'm practicing. That's the kind of normal, conventional viewpoint is I'm meditating. And I'm trying to meditate. But we often, until we've been practicing a while, don't question what is that I that is being referred to? What is that I? No one's ever seen that I. It's assumed that there's some kind of reference point in there. So when you might even check it out for a moment, even though I'm using the conventional language of you might check it out for a moment, might want to sense what it's like when there is no I as a reference point. Try it on. Isn't it true in a way that the sense of separation, the sense of isolation, just other self and other just kind of collapses? And it's just us. I've used this exercise over the years to play with this conventional view that actually prevents us in a certain way from recognizing our Buddha nature, but evaporates in the face of our practice. But I've used this device over the years, and I'll just play with you right now if you're open to it. We consider for a moment how we most often talk to ourselves, what our main way of thinking about ourselves as an I, as a self. And it's usually got some kind of composite view that I am in some way not enough. I am somehow not there yet. I am somehow insufficient. I am somehow unworthy. So if we take all of the different variations of our views of ourselves and we reduce it down to one version, we'll say, I am not okay as I am. Any of you have that? Nod if you ever have versions of that. So we take that sentence, I am not okay as I am, which really in some ways is I am not okay as I am. 7 words. I am not okay as I am. Now, just think those 7 words, unrecognized as just 7 words, take on gigantic proportions. And then it becomes the reference point of our life in some way. And so many actions are driven. There's often an engine. It becomes an engine that drives our actions to try to be better, to try to be good enough, to try to be acceptable, to try to be worthy. But it's all based on a view that you're not, which we can never find. You're not okay as you are on present evidence. You can never find it in real time. Right here, all you ever find is your Buddha nature when you're really present. You have to think about this in order to, you have to, as I say, you have to consult your memory to remember that you're not okay as you are. But when you're actually here, seeing or hearing or smelling or tasting or feeling things in the body, or even noticing that you're thinking, where's the evidence for not okay as I am? So at least you're maybe getting the sense that this feeling that comes with it, that I'm not okay as I am, may be a little bit dependent on a view, on a way of thinking, a way of perceiving. I'm spending a lot more time on this than this maybe tonight has to go in two parts. But let's take, just for the purpose of experimentation, let's take this line. I am not okay as I am. I'm not okay as I am. And let's remove the I am at the end, and let's leave just the sense I am not okay. And let's remove the okay part. And then we're left with just the words I am not. I always find it very interesting. As soon as I'm with just I'm not, I already feel a little bit better. But then if I remove the not, and I don't mean that as a pun, or I don't mean it as I don't mean K-N-O-T, I mean remove the not. We're left with the sense of I am, just I am. And that is really not problematic at all. Initially, I am. If you let that just settle for a moment, I am. You're closer to reality with just feeling I am. And let it yourself feel the resonance of just being. But for the sake of our experimentation, to see what that view, I'm not okay as I am, really springs from, let's just keep unraveling it and remove the am. And now you're left with I. Just I. Just feel that, I. And now, with the full knowledge that you can pick it up again in another moment if it's needed, just remove the I. And just sense what is actually here prior to this idea of self. This is what Buddhas know. The cessation, the fading away of this reference point. Or at least being able to see that this reference point is a functionally useful point, but is not absolute. It's something that arises and passes, and it arises sometimes when it's needed. Sometimes there's a need for a reference point to remind myself that I'm here and you're there, for boundaries, for example. That because it's most strongly associated with the physical body, it needs to arise to protect from time to time this body and mind. That's its wise and functional use. But this notion, I'm not okay as I am, this is a more psychological, neurotic, innocent from just conditioning, but it's an untruth. And it comes from a misperception of reality. It's a distortion of reality because we can never find it in real time. We can find it in the form of our story. My life situation is not okay, or I'm struggling with this or with that. But this fundamental view that there's an I at the center of all experience that is stable, that is the reference point, that's just not the way it is. In fact, there are many moments, and I have a feeling for Margaret there when she was just taking in that view, there was no I there at all. There was just consciousness filled with that gorgeousness of the Grand Canyon. And then it was later that the I arose to say, I experienced that. And then it's more historical. I is of the past. So the Buddhas, what happens to an awakened Buddha, a Buddha sees the functionality of I, but the Buddha sees that what ordinary people don't see, what we don't see, is that what we call I, what we call me, what we call mine, is really this dynamic process, this fluid, fast-moving process of physicality, of mentality, of the senses, the body, and feelings, pleasant, unpleasant, neither pleasant or unpleasant, perceptions, the conceptual mind coming in and saying what things are. And that perception, because of the proximity of observation, and usually our observation is we're seeing things so distantly. We're not seeing things really intimately and moment to moment like we would if we were to put our mind and body under a microscope. But we're seeing from a distance, so our perception makes it seem like this dynamic process is a thing. And then we get caught in the concept of being a somebody, a thing. And then perception, and then and then mental formations that are coming and going, and then consciousness. And those streams of experience, they're called the aggregates, or the skandhas, the building parts of self. And if we see them, if we see what we really are, we see that we're just these changing processes happening all the time. And there's no thing there at all. There's no thing in this body when you put it under a microscope. There's no thing in perception, it comes and goes. There's no thing in mental formations, thoughts and images, they come and go. There's no thing in consciousness. It also flashes on and off. And feelings come and go, pleasant, unpleasant, neither pleasant. Joys, sorrows. Nowhere in that heap of experience is there a self. But because of the proximity of our usual perception, it seems like a self and it seems like me. But once you see through that illusion of self, I'm just giving you the sneak preview since there are only 4 minutes left. Once you see through the illusion of self, and that self just subsides, you also, as perhaps you experienced tonight, when you drop the I, it also drops the sense of other. And your heart, as a Buddha's heart feels the complete, utter interconnectedness with all of life. And I don't have it on my screen anymore, but Mary, if you wouldn't mind, or maybe I can pull it up. But tonight's quote on the bulletin from Robert Thurman, when you understand interconnectedness, it makes you more afraid of hating than of dying. You see that when you hate the so-called other, it's a form of self-hatred. it's a form of hating yourself. It's putting someone out of your heart as though they are other. And you're depriving yourself of this boundless quality that is intrinsic to your nature, what we call Buddha nature. So this may all seem kind of exotic in the middle of our tormented world, but I feel like it's important to know that the Buddha in you, the Buddha that sees everyone as yourself, the Buddha that loves, that Buddha that cares, the Buddha that has unconfined capacity and freedom is nearer than near. It's closer than you think. And it is awakened and fulfilled by every moment that you come out of the tangle of your story of I, and you're just here. Or we're just here together. This is part of the power of Sangha, to melt this sense of isolation. This individualism that has left us so disembodied and so disconnected from one another. So there's a very practical benefit to awakening to our Buddha nature. But it really comes down to a simple moment-to-moment practice of attention and kindness. That's why it makes sense to be kind, because we're all in it together. So may we all awaken to our Buddha nature. May we all have compassion for our delusion. And may our practice tonight and every night and every day be dedicated to all of us. Thanks for your practice. Howie G, any comments? If everybody's willing to stick around for a few moments.
Hi, real quick. If you have access to the chat, I've got a couple of things in there. One is someone listed a way to help out our friend Mary with her dog, a puppy, because she's asking for a little help. Another is a notice about Howie's upcoming Labor Day Insight retreat, which is fabulous. And it's going to be happening on September 2nd through 7th at Spirit Rock. It's residential. And if you are even vaguely interested, register as soon as you can. It's highly recommended. And lastly, not leastly, Donna, we want you to remember that generosity is the name of the game. It helps the Sangha. It helps the practice. It helps Howie and all the other teachers. And if you can send some money, those who can afford it, that information is there in the chat also. So thank you all in advance.
Thank you, Howie G, and thanks for co-hosting. Beautiful Donna itself. Anyway, so happy to be with you. Feel free to unmute and say goodnight to each other, and off we go.
Thanks.
Thank you, Howie.
Good night.
Thanks so much.
Bye, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Thanks everyone for
Hey.
being here. Yeah. Bye-bye. Good night.
Good
Thanks,
night.
Howie.
Good night.
Sweet dreams.
Mm.
Hi, Howie.
Don't try to go to sleep. Just breathe easy.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Sweet dreams.